we can all agree that, I mean, the Leafs are a bit top heavy, and Toronto FC,
extremely top
Really
heavy.
similar.
very similar.
Yeah.
So TFC, they take on Austin FC this weekend in Texas. Based on your tweet, Mikey, you were just at training not too long ago. TFC could be missing up to 11 players heading into Saturday's game.
Yeah, it's been the story of this team the last couple of weeks. They're going through it. And Bob Bradley came out and said, I think it was last week, that he's had a very long coaching career. He said he's never seen a stretch like this where the injury bug had just come and hit the team. He's never seen a list as long as the list that you guys are seeing in front of you right now. The bottom line is, in Major League Soccer, especially in Major League Soccer, because it's a capped out league, that when you go through stretches like this and you have so many injuries, it's next to impossible to pick up results. And TFC are, they weren't picking up great results before this stretch, but you added now that this stretch is coming in, and they're going through it, man.
Yeah, one win in the last 9 league matches. I think one in the last 10 in all competitions. You just chalk it up to, is it just injuries, or is there more to that?
No, there's more to that, because I say the injuries came in maybe 4 games ago. So the last couple of games, you can probably chalk up a lot of it to that. But before that, it was, Lorenzo Insigne was out for the big portion of the start of the season, as we've talked about in the past. And then he was inserted into the lineup. He was still trying to find his footing. The narrative with this team throughout the whole year, and it's surprising because they have Insigne and Bernardeschi, was that they can't really score a ton of goals. And they've had a lot of draws this season. They've had 5 clean sheets this season. So they've done a pretty good job at keeping the ball out of the net, but they haven't been able to put the ball and put some numbers up on the scoreboard. So you can't win games when you're not scoring. So you'll see, they only have 3-4 losses this season, but they have 6-7 draws.
We're talking about the Leafs and all sweeping changes that'll be going on the Leaf line. When is it time to push the panic button for TFC, that there's time to be sweeping changes at BMO Field with the Reds?
The button for the fans, by the way, has been down for a while.
Yeah.
No, I get the fan base.
Justin loves a good panic button question.
Panic button. What DEFCON? What are we at? DEFCON 1, 2, 3,
Well,
or 4?
the difference
One
between
being worst, right?
Yeah.
the difference between the Leafs and TFC is that the TFC blew it up a year and a half ago.
That's true. When they brought in the big names,
They brought in the big names. They've had 18 players from last year's roster or the year before leaving the club, then another 11, 12 this offseason leaving the club. So they very much were going through the rebuild. So you can hit the panic button, but then you're just getting back to essentially where you were a year and a half ago. Right now, it's about building on what TFC have, and what they have, what they've made their bed with, is of course those 2 Italian stars. And right now in the mix is Bob Bradley, who's kind of seeing all of this, overseeing all of this, and he's the guy who is directing everything, whether it comes to the roster decisions, coaching on the field, and the burden is falling on his shoulders right now.
I think the tension too comes from the fact that, they're dropping points. We know that the injuries are a good excuse, right? I mean, the team's being crippled, but in these moments where you have such adversity, you need your stars to step it up,
Right.
and at least put the effort in. And certainly the Montreal 2 games there in the Cup and in the league, they just weren't there. They had no interest in being on that pitch, it seemed to me. And that's been a big problem, right? Where is the mentality of that squad right now? You look at the 2 big-priced Italians, Bernardeschi and Insigne. Are they happy? Do they want to be there? What's your sense?
There's frustration from those 2 players. It's actually something Bob Bradley talked about after the last match against the New York Red Bulls, where it was a scoreless draw. There's been frustration, in particular, as we talked about the injury list just a few moments ago. You're having to explain to Insigne and Bernardeschi that you're going to be playing with homegrown Canadian players who have a handful of minutes in Major League Soccer, a handful of professional minutes in general. And you have to explain to those players that, hey, these guys aren't going to be perfect, but you're going to have to try and make them better. That's a big ask for guys who are used to playing on European championship squads, guys who are used to playing in the Serie A for big clubs like Napoli and Juventus. So the frustration is in that right now. But I think from what I'm hearing is that they've turned a corner in that, and they're starting to respond a lot better. And I think on the field on Wednesday against the Red Bulls, they started to respond a little bit better. Still missing that final product. You're still missing the goals. You're still missing the assists, those game-breaking moments. But mentally, and I think even body language-wise, you're starting to see them adapt a little bit better to the league.
And Mikey, this has to be, like you just mentioned, a shock to those players.
Yeah.
They've never been in this type of situation.
Do your homework then. Do your homework.
Right.
It's MLS. This is what happens. If they're surprised by that this season, that's pathetic. There's my pathetic word. I got in trouble last time.
But Charms, they've never been in this situation before as
But
players.
do your homework. Right? I mean, don't just follow the green. Understand you come to a team that hasn't got much depth because it's MLS. And there's a very good chance that with an injury and issue, you'll be playing against kids who probably shouldn't be playing at this level. Do your homework. Don't be
Right.
surprised by it. No excuse.
Yeah, there was another instance you can think back on earlier this year when MLS had to play through an international break. And I remember Michael Bradley saying, we have to explain to Lorenzo and Federico that Major League Soccer still plays. They're like, what's going on here? Like, why aren't we going to Italy? Why aren't we, heading back to Europe? Why don't we have a break? It's because Major League Soccer is just completely different. So it is a wake-up call still for those guys, even though it's been
Let me just
like
say,
9 months.
legendary TFC player Danny Dichio arrives here in 2007, and his first observation is, "Where's the grass?" So Deitch didn't do any research.
I got you. Yeah.
So I guess we shouldn't expect too much from these
Yeah,
guys. either.
yeah, exactly.
What, turf?
I wa-
What? Yeah, it's always been turf, Danny.
You've been awesome, Mikey. Thank you so much. I want to hear
course.
more about why you got in trouble. Can you tell me about that after?
Oh, I know. I just made some
Oh, you made some remarks.
feelings known.
Oh,
in
okay.
trouble?
Oh.
I won't say trouble per se, but it got pretty volatile on
All right.
social
We got
media.
5 seconds. We got to wrap up. Okay, thanks, Mikey C. Coming up after the break, Jordan Horban of North Star Bets. We're going to talk about how many hot dogs Jays fans ate last night.